Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Such.
And my name is James.
It's Friday morning. We don't really need to timestamp this because there's no fixture announcements or anything, but...
I wouldn't bank on something not happening today.
Yeah. But if it does, it will be just after we record.
Probably.
Or just after a deadline or at the most inconvenient time. Friday morning, FA Cup is done for this week, and the draw has also been made. And obviously people are very confused about where to go with strategy and chips in the coming game weeks. So that's what we're basically going to talk about this morning. It's about right, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're going to do our best to kind of paint the picture for you. Before we do that, let's start with the information that we definitely know, and then we'll talk maybe a little bit of chip ideas, and then we're going to talk about what, say, Gameweek 33 may look like, etc. So what we now know, obviously, Chelsea beat Luton on Wednesday night. I watched all of the second half, and it always felt like it was coming. But I guess the longer it stayed 2-1 to Luton, you think, I mean, this is the thing with the FA Cup and even kind of being predicting the future. You look at the draw and go, okay, I know which four teams are going through. Yeah, that probably won't happen. The mad shit just happens in this competition all the time. So anyway, Chelsea's victory obviously confirms that they now have a double game week this coming game week. So it's a double for Chelsea of Burnley away and Norwich away. And it does also mean a double for Norwich of Brentford at home and Chelsea at home. That's added to the doubles we already know for this coming game week for Southampton, Newcastle, Wolves, Watford, Leeds and Aston Villa. The cup results also mean we now know that we are left with 4 fixtures for game week 30. We knew we would have Wolves v Leeds, Aston Villa versus Arsenal and Leicester versus Brentford. We now know the 4th fixture will be, because
the Planet FPL Derby.
To sum up the Planet FPL Derby, and Tottenham and West Ham, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit, and this week it was definitely shit. So the Planet FPL Derby, Tottenham versus West Ham, is now on in game week 30. We also know, because of the cup draw, that Crystal Palace and Everton will not be on in the weekend of game week 33. It doesn't mean that it won't take place in game week 33, but it will not take place on that weekend. That's quite literally because Crystal Palace and Everton are due to play each other in game week 33 at Goodison Park, and have just drawn each other in the FA Cup quarter-finals, and the semi-finals are scheduled for game week 33. Therefore, one of Crystal Palace or Everton must be in an FA Cup semi-final, and therefore that fixture will move. The rest of the draw comprises of Southampton versus Manchester City, and let's just add a cautious note there, and we've said it a few times this year, Southampton are a bit of a bogey team for Manchester City. Liverpool have been drawn away to Nottingham Forest or Huddersfield. That tie between Forest and Huddersfield takes place on Monday evening. And Chelsea have been drawn away to Super League 6 destroyers Middlesbrough, who will probably have to beat 3 more of the Super League 6 if they want to win the trophy. But have obviously already disposed of Manchester United and Tottenham, and will fancy playing Chelsea at the Riverside.
Mother, yeah.
That one.
Trying to stop swearing.
That's what we know. That's what we know. Now, with what we know, what you thinking for chips?
Can I add one more what we know?
Of course you can.
Who has games missing and left to use? Because is it worth just running down with the unarranged fixtures as it stands for the clubs?
I think we'll come on to that. Because there's a bit of a story that I'd like to tell in terms of the permutations of what's likely to happen, but not definitely what will happen.
So game week 30 specifically, that we're coming up to, because I hadn't planned to use anything in 28-29. I've got 5 doublers. I'm going to add a second Chelsea this week, so I have 6 doublers this week, and with Liverpool having a double, I've got plenty lined up for 29 as well. Game week 30, I have 1 Spurs right now in Heung-min Son. I have 1 West Ham right now in Jared Bowen. No Arsenal, no Aston Villa, no Brentford, no Leeds, no Leicester, and I've got 1 Wolves. So I've got 3 players. Free hit in Gameweek 30 basically is going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no other way of looking at it. Free hit in Gameweek 30.
I mean, it certainly sounds that way. I mean, currently, I guess there's a little influence in terms of what's your planned transfers for the next 2 weeks. So in your case, Serge, do you consider going, right, well, I'm going to smash into Wolves, Villa, Leeds this week, take a -8, take another -8 next week for, say, Tottenham and Arsenal assets?
But can you really prioritise them when Chelsea now have a double and going Wolves and what have you? You can. Don't worry. I'm happy to take a -4.
Wolves have got a great double. They've got a decent 29 fixture. They've got decent fixtures,
they've got just 31,
32.
And
yeah.
Where I'd go with Wolves would be getting rid of David De Gea and getting Jose Sarr, potentially. That's the one I like. I've got a double goalkeeper this week in Ben Foster.
Yeah,
so
you've got the same dilemma. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to smash in there right now. So I could just leave it and do it next week, or even go there in Gameweek 30. It's not a problem to do that. Otherwise, Arsenal is another team I'd prioritise, not for this week, but then they've got the double next week, and then it covers me off in 30. So Arsenal I'd look at in 29, potentially, maybe Kieran Tierney. I'd rather get Robertson, to be honest with you. We're prioritising the likes of Rudiger, Reece James, Andy Robertson. They all have doubles. So,
well, if you, this is where it kind of flips with people say, "Who should I get?" Yada yada yada. It's a little bit dependent on your strategy, right? So, in your case at the moment, it really looks like you're going to free hit in 30. So, your priority in 29 is probably to add the third Liverpool player, knowing that that's not going to be an issue for you in Gameweek 30. If you're looking to run through and you've got, say, 2 Liverpool and 1 Tottenham, 1 Arsenal, and are not free hitting in 30, your priorities are actually probably more Arsenal and Tottenham, for example.
Yeah, you see, like we talked just about Jose Sarr, for example, and moving there in 30, but then I may as well look at Ramsdale next week because that gives me a double and then it covers me in 30 as well. So do I go Ramsdale? Yeah, exactly. So free hit Gameweek 30 looking hugely likely. I mean, I've got to use these flipping chips at some point. And we're going to talk about the rest. So I need to now figure out what my Gameweek 33 will look like. As in which fixtures are definitely on and which could fall off and drop off. So Southampton, Arsenal could drop off. I don't have any anyway. Villa, Liverpool could drop off. I don't have any anyway. Brentford, Watford. But I mean, Watford has been stinking out my team for so long. Dennis, I'm not going to keep him for 5 game weeks from now for Gameweek 33, and I don't own any Brentford. Tottenham Brighton is going to be on.
Yes.
Trossard's still sitting there, and Heung-min Son.
Trossard's not going to be sitting there at 33.
Exactly. So limited ownership there. Chelsea Leeds we don't think is going to be on. Burnley West Ham. I've only got 1. Right, I haven't got loads for that fixture. I've only got Jared Bowen at the moment. So I'm like just that as a little snapshot. I'm not stacked with players for 33 either. And it comes back down to the pros and cons of each chip. So free hit, use it defensively to cover you off blanks. Use it offensively to steam into doublers. And the doubles that might be big would be 36 and 37, right? And one of those I need to use bench boost in. And I need to wildcard to set myself up for that bench boost.
Is that your plan? Wildcard is still what, sort of 34, 35?
I haven't got any need to use it. If I free hit in 30 and free hit in 33, I've got no need to use it.
That's interesting because you've, over the last 3 or 4 game weeks or so, kind of been flirting with wildcarding.
Yeah.
Never really got to it.
Yeah.
But I think it was before maybe game week 25. I think you said to me about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the Friday.
Might still do it.
I might do it. I was like, oh, slow down. There are a lot of people wildcarding now.
Well, look, 28, 29, I'm happy with 5 or 6 doublers in each with what I have with the singles and 33 hits. So it's a non-conversation till at least game week 31. And if I'm free hitting in 33, then it's a non-conversation for 31, 32, 33. And then 34 is where it gets played. Literally, it's kind of falling into place. But yeah, like I said, the free hit is either defensive or offensive. Bench boost has to be aggressive. You want to double up all the doublers on the bench. Wildcard will fix you any problems or set you up. And the question on people's lips is around the doubles, really. So if there are very tasty doubles to be had, a game week stacked full of decent doubles, then people will be more prone to want to use their chips offensively, which is a better use in my... I'd always rather use a chip offensively than defensively. And if there aren't, then fine, I'll use it defensively. And of course, like me, in Game Week 30, if you've only got 3 players, then you've got to kind of use it defensively. And which leads us on to kind of a conversation around what the doubles and fixtures could look like and where they will drop. Because I think having a good understanding of that will help people decide, am I being offensive or defense? Defense.
Yeah, I just add on to free hit just about Game Week 30 conversation. Now, I'm in a fortunate position where I've got 2 free hits left, and I know obviously many of you won't. I've got 6 currently for Game Week 30, which you'd think with free transfers would see me through. I've got Bowen, Rafinha, Ramsey, Connor Cody. I've got Harry Kane. So I've got and Kieran Tierney. So I've got 6
for Game Week 30.
No double ups, but coverage of 6 players. So let's say between now and then, free transfers alone would get me to 9 potentially, and then I think you go, no, 9's okay.
Fine.
However, I haven't ruled it out, and I haven't ruled it out because I think that there's certain powerful plays in Game Week 30. For example, I think because of the doubles beforehand, I think Leicester will largely be ignored, or people will have to take hits to get Leicester players. I also think players like Jamie Vardy, who's now back fit, will largely be ignored because it will be difficult even for those taking hits to probably suddenly manufacture a team that's got, say, Harry Kane, Heung-min Son and Jamie Vardy in it, and know that you still want Mo Salah back in 31 when Tottenham actually have a good fixture in 31 as well. Obviously, you can bench Mo Salah, but then how you work that trio into your team's quite difficult. So for me, I try and weigh it up, and I am looking generally on the free hit to try and get a gain of around about 25 points on top of what I've got. Also, free hitting in 30 has an interesting slant on it in the sense that my transfers this week and primarily obviously in 29 would largely be influenced by not free hitting in Game Week 30, where I just think subconsciously you end up targeting players that have fixtures in 30. So the more I look at not free hitting in 30, my intention is to buy Rudiger today, and I haven't completely decided. Is to buy Rudiger for Dalot. The money's in the bank and probably leave it at that. But if I decide, and I haven't yet, not to free hit in 30, the temptation to buy a Wolves player increases. Can I just captain a Wolves defender this week or a Rafinha, ignore Rudiger, and then prioritise covering myself better for doubles and obviously with the players that play in Game Week 30, as we've already covered. In the case of Wolves, they have good fixtures either side as well, a really good little run of fixtures. So I want to judge, can I make the gain? The reason I didn't free hit personally in Game Week 27
just passed
with the Burnley treble was I didn't think that I would lose out to free hitters by more than 25 points. I didn't. I lost out by around about 10 points. We said on Monday's podcast, if Burnley keep a clean sheet, trouble. If they don't, this isn't a problem. And that's what's happened. So pleased that I've still got that in my armoury. There are 3 options for me on a free hit chip. Game Week 30, Game Week 33, Game Week 37, I think is interesting as well. I can say with certainty that I'm not wildcarding now. I think the balance of what I've got over the next 2 weeks is okay. And I actually think if I wildcarded, I wouldn't land a million miles away from what I've got. Like I could make 5 or 6 changes that would definitely improve what I've got over the next few weeks, but not massive enough to make me think that it's worth it. I'm not too badly set. And on them 3 hits, I have not decided yet, but I can certainly say on my strategy at this moment, bench boost 36, wildcard in one of the 2 game weeks before that, rather than 31 or 32 is my personal favoured idea on that. And that's because even though we will, let's say you're wildcarding in 32, by that point you're definitely going to know what the outlook is for game week 33. But actually, it doesn't give you any guarantees actually of what 36 will look like. again, the Cup semi-final results are going to influence what games move from Game Week 37. Obviously, if we have 2 Premier League teams in the FA Cup final, which is the most likely scenario, we will lose 2 games from Game Week 37. And there's not a guarantee that they'll stay in 37. Would you like me to tell you a story, Suj? Mm-hmm. What do you want? Like Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland? What kind of story do you want, mate?
Whichever you prefer. I'm just looking at the fixtures here and looking at... So 37 is the FA Cup final, right?
That's correct. Semi-finals of 33.
So Liverpool-Southampton could make it, and that would only be 1 game off in 37.
In theory, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
That's
the only one.
So that could be off. And then who else is left in Chelsea? Chelsea have got Manchester United, so that could be off. And Crystal Palace and Everton are also still in.
So for many people, in terms of, and it's the most common question, is this a good time to wildcard? Right, well, what's your team in the first place? What do you want to do with future chips? It's almost impossible to actually answer. What I want to do is try and give you a pattern of how I think the future game weeks are going to rest. And I can tell you with 100% certainty now that this will not be 100% accurate. It's just about impossible, because this year, the possibilities are more endless than normal because of the amount of postponements we had earlier in the season due to COVID.
There's quite a few games still left to rearrange, right? Leicester have got 3 games. Everton have got 4 games left to rearrange.
So Everton have now got the most, and they're really interested in terms of what could happen, actually. I know we're saying Everton assets. Listen, trust me, even if you think there's no way, I'm telling you there's a point this season you're going to go, shit, do I want an Everton player? I'm telling you that's going to happen. Remember, they're fighting against relegation, so they'll be playing for points where other teams they're playing against might be on the beach, to quote Tom Cantwell's famous line, if you will. First thing to say is Gameweeks 31, 32. In theory, any game that needs rearranging, from Aston Villa to Burnley to Tottenham versus Arsenal, any game that currently needs rearranging that does not have involvement of a side that is still involved in Europe could, in theory, go into Game Week 31 or Game Week 32. So Everton got 4 games to arrange, Suj, right? Mm-hmm. It's fairly likely that they could double in 31, 32. One of the teams they've got to arrange a game against is Burnley. Burnley got 3 games to arrange. I would not be shocked if Burnley v Everton went into 31 or 32. I'll come back on to where I think it will land in a little bit. There is, Suj, 1 game, and 1 game only, that if it's postponed in the remainder of this season due to cup results, can only go in one place as it stands. You know what that fixture is, Suj.
Yeah, City at home for us.
Correct. If West Ham progress to the Europa League semi-finals and Manchester City reach the FA Cup final, these 2 things are both possible. I wouldn't say they're likely, but they're both possible. Then West Ham and Man City in Game Week 37 would be off. Now, you would think, generally speaking, the midweek afterwards is available for fixtures in 37, except for it's not in the case of West Ham, because the Europa League final is in that midweek between Game Weeks 37 and 38. Now, they can't leave it to the last minute to know if West Ham are going to be in the final or not. If West Ham are in the semi-finals, that's enough danger for them to have to put any West Ham Man City postponement in 37 factually, definitely into Game Week 36. That would therefore give both of those 2 clubs a double in 36. As soon as you move one piece of the puzzle, everything else begins to fall into place.
Okay. What happens if we go out of the ropey to Sevilla?
Yep.
Southampton beats City.
Yep.
Is there other windows that it could go?
Well, it just stays where it is, doesn't it?
Oh, fine. Okay.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. The game will only be postponed if Man City reach the FA Cup final.
Right.
Now, at the moment, a Manchester City FA Cup final appearance is more likely than unlikely according to the betting odds.
Okay.
So at the moment, we're going to assume that probably will move. Now, West Ham's chance of making Europa League semi-finals are, at a guess, probably 30 to 40% or so.
As high as that, eh?
Yeah, why not?
Tidy.
You've got a tough time. We're not talking about winning it. We're just talking about making the semi-finals. Say 30, 40%. So there's a strong possibility we could end up with West Ham City in game week 36.
As a double.
Now, listen, we could know before game week 30 even comes round that West Ham are out of Europe, and therefore there's no guarantee that it would go there. But let's work on the basis that it has to. And if we're saying that Man City are favourites to get to the FA Cup final and favourites in that competition, they will obviously have their game against Wolves postponed in game week 33. This is not meaning to dismiss Southampton's possibilities against City whatsoever. This is just working on a basis of probability that Manchester City would be favourites in the cup tie. So the City fixture against Wolves in 33 would be off. City also obviously have their game week 30 fixture to arrange against Brighton. Now, if City progress in the Champions League as well, there are only 2 available midweeks. Those would be game week 33 and game week 37. For any side that progresses and continues to progress in Europe, the only available weeks are 33, 36 and 37. Now, if we assume, Suj, that West Ham and City did have to go into game week 36, one of the Wolves-Brighton fixtures will go into 33 as a single game week fixture, and one will go into 37, also a single game week fixture for City, because obviously they'd be playing in the final the weekend before. Now, I think the Wolves fixture is more likely to go into 37 than 33. And it could go either way. Just one very simple idea behind that, and that's the idea that Manchester City would therefore not finish with 2 consecutive home games. That certainly is something that can happen, but we are in a position at the moment where the title race could be very close. And I think the idea of having City and Liverpool having kind of an even spread for the end in terms of home and away games would be ideal. It also, from a jeopardy perspective in the midweek of game week 37, would probably be more interesting to see Man City play at Wolves rather than play Brighton at home. Mm-hmm. So what that would do is obviously give Brighton a double game week in game week 33. Yay, we've got a doubler. Oh, wait, it's Tottenham away and Manchester City away would be the double. That doesn't interest too much. City's double in 36 would be Newcastle at home, West Ham away. That would be interesting. West Ham's double, despite having Man City, would also still be interesting because they would have Norwich away as your scheduled first fixture. That, by the way, Suj, game week 36, is the only possible game week where West Ham can have a double game week remaining. The only possibility.
As if we keep progressing in Europe.
No, it's the only one anyway.
Okay.
Because obviously the only game of yours that can get rescheduled now, because you've
City.
got Burnley in 33, so that's a lock. You've got Tottenham in 30, that's a lock.
Yeah.
The only game that can move is Manchester City in 37.
Fine.
And we can certainly ascertain already the only 2 places that can go is 36 or 37. So it's either still single in 37, if, say, you're out of the Europa League, or it's 36 if West Ham are still in the Europa League. It doesn't mean, by the way, that if West Ham are out of the Europa League, it won't still move to 36. It still could. So Wolves, I think, most likely to double in game week 37.
Right, at the end.
Which also means for Wolves, blank game week 33. So one of the real misconceptions I saw on Twitter last night, and it really wanted to make me pull out what little hair that I actually have, was people saying, oh my God, Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool are all going to blank in game week 33. They absolutely are not. The most likely teams to blank in game week 33 are the sides that are scheduled to face those teams. So, for example, Leeds are scheduled to play Chelsea. Wolves are scheduled to play Manchester City. Aston Villa are scheduled to play Liverpool. The reason Villa are more likely to play in 33 than Wolves or Leeds is Villa have got another game to reschedule against Burnley. Wolves and Leeds don't. Wolves and Leeds are blank. So if the fixture doesn't remain in the same game week, they're going to blank.
Yep.
So I've got, with the Wolves fixture moving to 37, actually a blank game week for 33. So we've spoken about Wolves and this great run. There's definitely going to be people still sitting there in game week 32 with treble Wolves. Does that sort of thing push you into a free hit in game week 33? Or do you think, well, they were scheduled to play Man City at that point anyway, I was going to take hits to sell or / bench them? Something to consider. Leicester City are a club where there are issues, and I spoke about this a number of weeks ago prior to them losing to Nottingham Forest about the necessity for them to arrange fixtures. Leicester have 3 games to rearrange. Now, again, if Leicester make the Europa Conference League final or even the semi-finals, there are only 3 available midweeks for Leicester. Those are 33, 36, 37. The fixtures are Everton at home, Chelsea away, Norwich at home. Interestingly, the Norwich fixture is the only one of those three that is not currently selected for television coverage. Now, I do think that fixtures like Everton and Leicester might be dropped. But if we work on the basis that, let's say, the TV fixtures are most likely to go into 33, 36, then let's try and fit them in there. Leicester are due to play Everton in 36. Doesn't really make sense to schedule them to play each other twice in 3 or 4 days, does it?
No.
It's just not a good look for the league, particularly when Everton are fighting relegation and Leicester they're probably from a league perspective highly likely to have nothing to play for. And if they're still in the Conference League, might literally be kind of heavily rotating in the Premier League. So it doesn't seem right for Everton to play them twice right near the end of the season. So I think Everton versus Leicester into game week 33 makes a lot of sense. That therefore leaves Chelsea versus Leicester into 36, with the final fixture, Norwich, going into game week 37. However, should Leicester go out of Europe earlier, I think that fixture could, like for example, if Leicester to go out to Rennes, which is a really difficult tie, then I think Leicester-Norwich, it could be as early as 31, 32 in theory. So where you put those Leicester fixtures then has a knock-on impact for other teams. Arsenal. Tottenham versus Arsenal, in theory, is 50-50 whether it goes into game week 33 or game week 36. Now, there's going to be a lot of guys carrying through Tottenham and Arsenal assets, right? Both teams double in 29. Both teams playing game week 30. Both teams have decent fixtures afterwards as well. Arsenal have Leicester and Palace, I believe. Tottenham have Newcastle and Aston Villa. There's no reason to mass dispose of these two teams when they are likely to be competing. Arsenal definitely will. Tottenham hopefully will be competing for 4th place in the league. So there's a lot of people already looking, going, Tottenham-Arsenal double in game week 33 would be really, really handy. I think it's slightly less likely to happen than happen. And again, it's the knock-on of the Leicester arrangements. So if Chelsea versus Leicester's gone into 36 and Chelsea versus Arsenal's got to go somewhere, bearing in mind Chelsea are still in the Cup, so could lose their 37 fixture against Manchester United and have the Leeds fixture to rearrange, it seems most likely to me, again for television purposes, that Chelsea versus Arsenal will go into game week 33 rather than putting Chelsea and Arsenal. In fact, at the moment, you can't put it into European night. So Chelsea versus Arsenal going into 33 would obviously mean Tottenham versus Arsenal can't. It means the most likely at the moment, I think, for Tottenham Arsenal is game week 36. Now, technically, that fixture can go anywhere. And there is certainly a block build-up of there's more TV fixtures available for the midweek games from already selected picks than you would anticipate. And I think a few of them, like Burnley versus Southampton, Tottenham versus Arsenal, could be moved out of 33, 36. Otherwise, there's a chance they're going to overlap games, like we've seen with the 7:30 and the 8:15. You could have, for example, in 36, Chelsea versus Leicester at 7:30, Tottenham versus Arsenal at 8:15. Okay. I don't think Tottenham Arsenal will go into 37. It can, by the way. I don't think it will, because that would then be Tottenham's last home game of the season. And I'm pretty sure the police wouldn't want that. Whether they'd get a say or not, I don't know. But it seems most likely that Tottenham or Arsenal will go into 33 or 36. I think 36 is slightly more likely. So if Chelsea have got Leicester now in game week 36 and Arsenal in game week 33, what does that mean for the potential current standing Leeds fixture in game week 33? Well, it means it goes right at the end, I presume, game week 37. There is one further problem for Chelsea. So let's say Chelsea make Champions League semi-finals, same scenario. They only have 33, 36, 37 available. One of the reasons Chelsea had to play in game week 28 is running out of available game weeks. Where does the Manchester United fixture in game week 37 go should Chelsea make the FA Cup final and the Champions League semi-final? One of the questions I keep getting is there any chance left of a treble game week? or let me lay it out for you like this a little bit. In game week 35 midweek, let's say Chelsea got their Champions League semi-final on the Tuesday. In theory, then you could then say that Chelsea then play Friday, Monday, Thursday, the following week to give you a treble game week in game week 36. I've got some bad news for you. That won't happen because Chelsea would be in the FA Cup final. If they had that necessity, Chelsea would be in the FA Cup final on a Saturday. Not going to make Chelsea play on a Thursday night and then play the cup final on a Saturday, are they?
No.
The more likely, considering Chelsea have probably got little to play for, I think if they got to the FA Cup final and Champions League semi-finals, is they'd probably have to play something like Tuesday and Thursday in game week 37, which wouldn't be a treble because remember they'd been in the cup final the Saturday before. And that's the only situation where Chelsea's problems will become a hangover where they've got to play 2 times in 3 days if they reach the Champions League semi-finals and the FA Cup final. That would give Chelsea a double in 37 of Manchester United away and Leeds away as it stands. It could work differently where suddenly they moved the Chelsea-Manchester United fixture into 36. This is another reason, actually, knock on why I think Tottenham-Arsenal is more likely in 36 as well, is they may make a judgment call nearer the time to say, well, if Chelsea are going to play twice in 3 days, it's better to play against Leeds and Leicester than play Manchester United and Leicester, for example. But that might be a little bit dependent on what Manchester United's challenge for top 4 looks like and what Leeds' fight against survival looks like. It might be impacted by that. So Leeds, I think most likely double 37 as it stands. Now that will also leave Leeds with a blank in game week 33. Aston Villa, similar to the Everton and Leicester problem where they meet each other in game week 36, the same applies. Aston Villa against Burnley, scheduled to play each other again in game week 36. Repeat the same thing. Do we want Burnley to play Aston Villa twice right at the end of the season? Probable team with nothing to play for. So it makes sense for Villa versus Burnley to be going to the midweek of game week 33 is available. However, I would stress this is one of the fixtures that could go earlier. Could go into game week 31, 32. It's one because of no European involvement and the fact that Burnley have more than 2 games to rearrange really could drop anywhere. In theory, it could still drop into game week 29, as could Burnley versus Southampton. I'd rate them possibilities at around about a 1% chance at this stage.
It's a bit late in the day to be announcing that.
You would think so. Particularly Burnley-Southampton would be particularly harsh. That's the worst journey in the league. Distance-wise, it might not be, but actually for travelling fans on trains, that's the worst. It's the worst journey you could have. So 2 weeks' notice really would not be on at all. So if we say Villa-Burnley, therefore goes into game week 33.
Or earlier.
Let's say it goes into 33, where we maximise the possibility of the 2 completely free midweeks, no European football, proper Premier League attention. Villa-Burnley into 33, so they don't play each other twice in 36. That obviously leaves the hangover for Liverpool, because Liverpool is scheduled to play Aston Villa in 33. What that means is would have to go into 36 or 37 because of Liverpool's European involvement. Currently 36 is a little bit more likely. So that would mean single fixtures for Liverpool in 33 and Villa 33. Obviously Villa wouldn't have played twice because they're blank at the weekend but have the midweek fixture. Would obviously mean double for those teams in 36. So you're saying Liverpool still have a fixture in 33. Well, the knock-on of Villa-Burnley going into 33 and then Villa-Liverpool going into 36 means Liverpool versus Manchester United would have to go into game week 33. That would give United an interesting double, actually. Norwich at home and Liverpool away. And I think if that was the case, on what I see right now, you'd look at probably Bruno Fernandes as the outstanding captaincy option in that week.
Even Liverpool away.
Norwich at home, you just take Liverpool as the bonus, don't you?
Yeah.
I think. We'll come on to, I'll give you an overview outlook of how I'm predicting it all to look at the end. Moving on to Palace. So with Everton booked in to play Leicester in game week 33, that fixture, Palace versus Everton, should go into 36. It's another one that can drop earlier. So like Palace v Everton in theory could be 31, 32. But we'll put it on 36 on the basis that Palace have 2 games to rearrange. And also, obviously, let's say Palace beat Everton. There has to be a little bit of nervousness in terms of leaving Palace blank for 37. They're scheduled to play Aston Villa in that game week. It's another reason why I think Villa-Liverpool is slightly more likely in 36 than 37. If Palace versus Everton goes into 36, then I think that means we've got Newcastle versus Palace in game week 33. Again, this is another fixture. No European involvement. It could drop anywhere. But Newcastle Palace 33, and that would give Newcastle an interesting looking 33 double of Leicester at home and Crystal Palace at home. Of course, that would also be double for Leicester in 33, which would be Newcastle away, Everton away. Now, actually, how much investment have we got in Leicester, Newcastle for those weeks? And how much investment will we have in Manchester United? Now, they don't look great in paper, but suddenly you might be looking at maybe wanting to go 7-8 of those players for the free hit. So it's easy to look at those, and I think they're the main 3 for that. It's kind of Leicester, Newcastle, Manchester United. You look at that week and go, well, they're not great, but you're also not going to have any of them. So again, going back to what's my potential gain on a free hit, I'd look at that and go, well, I can gain here, can't I?
Yeah.
So 33, I think, for me, is still massively standing out. Burnley. So if we've now ascertained that the Villa fixture probably goes into 33, Southampton's a TV fixture. Therefore, I think more likely to stay in 33, 36 than go into another week. I think should West Ham and Leicester go out of Europe, that increases the likelihood of games like Burnley, Southampton, Tottenham, Arsenal, Everton, not Leicester. Well, if Leicester go out, yes, Everton, Leicester, going into the Champions League weeks where they can pull it on a Thursday. There's no English club involvement on the Thursday, and UEFA ain't going to be bothered.
Yeah.
If Everton v Leicester clashes with their Europa League coverage, rather than sticking on Champions League nights. That would leave a couple of games hanging. Well, for Burnley, it would leave 1 game hanging, which is Everton. So Burnley would have, in game week 33, a double themselves of West Ham away and Aston Villa away. Doesn't look great, but I could see me free hitting Nick Pope in that case. And it would also give them a double in 36, which is quite attractive, which is Villa at home, Southampton at home. The importance of that, potentially handy players for a bench boost there in terms of cheap assets from Burnley. The Everton fixture, I'll come back onto. So Southampton have got games going against Burnley in 36, and if Liverpool and Manchester United is tied into 33, that would mean that should Liverpool and Manchester City be the FA Cup final, which is the most likely outcome as it stands, then Southampton would play Liverpool in game week 37. As that is the scheduled game week 37 fixture anyway, that would still just be a single game week for both teams. Everton. So we've put Leicester into 33. We've put Crystal Palace into game week 36. We have fixtures against Burnley away and Watford away still hanging. Where do they go? Well, the obvious answer is fill it into game week 37. But while Everton might remain in the FA Cup, that's not a possibility because Everton would have their fixture in 37 postponed against Brentford. If the Palace game goes into 36, the Brentford game would have to go into 37. I tweeted on Wednesday night that there was a small possibility of Everton having a treble double. That would mean playing in game weeks 34, 35 and 36. If Everton beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup quarterfinals and they do not urgently arrange an Everton fixture in game week 31 or 32, Everton are likely to double in 34, 35 and 36. Still don't want any? I mean, I'd go Jordan Pickford for them 3 weeks.
And Calvert-Lewin is obviously fit.
Anthony Gordon, if he's still in the team.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get the idea. Now, I don't think that will happen. One of the main reasons I don't think that will happen is because I think Palace will beat Everton in the Cup anyway. So it probably won't matter. But it makes sense to be aware of the Everton problem. That now, overnight, has become the biggest scheduling headache is Everton. Because there's more fixtures than kind of free Premier League midweeks, if you will. And because they're still in the Cup, 37 might be needed for the Brentford fixture at the end. So Everton, we're looking at fixtures have got to go somewhere. So when we're saying fixtures like Newcastle versus Palace, Burnley versus Southampton, these can drop anywhere. Three of Everton's 4 fixtures can drop anywhere. The Leicester one, obviously, as it stands while Leicester are in Europe, would have to go into one of 33, 36 or 37. So what's the most likely earliest fixture? So I think Everton are going to get a fixture arranged in 31 and 32. Now, by sheer just looking at simplicity, as it stands, Watford have 1 game to rearrange. That's against Everton. Burnley have 3 against Villa, Everton, and who's the other one? Southampton. So it wouldn't make sense for Everton, Watford to be arranged very quickly in 31, 32, and then Burnley to be left with 3 games in hand over Watford. Surely they're competing with each other, right?
Get to a parity.
Level it out, right? Plus Burnley, as I said, have got more games to rearrange. So I think Burnley versus Everton is likely to go into 31 or 32. The later that gets left, the more likely it's to be 32, right? So you come out of Burnley or Everton playing in game week 30? No. Would you be bothered? Well, let's just say Burnley did have a double in 31. Their scheduled fixture is Manchester City. That's rubbish. Everton's scheduled fixture is West Ham away. Okay, that's rubbish. You'd arguably just ignore it this time. But if it's 32, which is what I've penciled in, Everton would have a double of Manchester United at home and Burnley away. More interestingly, Burnley's double would be Norwich away and Everton at home. Wout Weghorst, welcome back to our teams.
Especially if they double again, like double, right? 31 and 32 for Burnley.
And correct. Suja's got it absolutely spot on. If you're looking to run through and carry on, if Burnley did double in game week 32, it would be double again. And the likely 33 fixture I've got marked down for them currently is obviously Aston Villa away after West Ham away. So over the course of 2 game weeks, Norwich away, Everton at home, West Ham away, Aston Villa away. None of this is to say that this is going to happen. Literally, West Ham going out of Europe will throw this whole thing out of sync. But I think there's a puzzle that can be put together by moving one part that then moves several others. Now, there's different ways where you could start this puzzle and it ends up with different results. Suddenly, you've got Tottenham Arsenal in game week 33, Liverpool United in 36. There are other ways to spin it. But I've used the West Ham Man City starting point because that's the one fixture I know that if West Ham and City progress in the Cups, that fixture has to go into 36. And then you can move the other pieces of the puzzle from there. I've got Watford Everton listed for game week 35 as it stands. Could easily be 34. If Everton went out in the Cup quarterfinals, obviously could be 37, for example. In theory, Everton's fixtures against Palace, Watford and Burnley could drop anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. They won't obviously drop in game week 29 because Everton obviously have a double already scheduled there with the Newcastle fixture. Brentford, the only team we haven't covered, are the only team extremely unlikely to have a double left. The only game, they've got no games to rearrange. The only game of theirs that could be moved is that 37 fixture if, stop laughing at the back, Everton got to the FA Cup final. And in that case, it would most likely remain as a single game week fixture in game week 37. So, how does it all break down? So, on the schedule that I've run through there to kind of give you the story. Game week 33, I would have double game week for the following.
Start at 32.
Start at 32.
You've got a double in 32.
I mean, that's so unpredictable. But yeah, okay, we'll cover it again. Burnley, double in 32 of Norwich away, Everton away, and Everton, Manchester United at home, Burnley away. Game week 33, double for Arsenal, Southampton away and Chelsea away. Brighton, double, Tottenham away, Manchester City away. Burnley, possibly double, 33 fixture, West Ham away, Aston Villa away. Manchester United, double, Norwich at home, Liverpool away. Newcastle, double, Leicester at home, Crystal Palace at home. Did I say the Leicester double? Sorry. If I didn't, Newcastle away, Everton away. How many doublers there, Suj?
You just read out 33.
Yeah.
You didn't do it alphabetically.
Who did I miss?
You confused me. But how many doublers do I currently have? Was that your question?
How many teams double in there off that schedule?
Oh,
33?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12.
No, mate.
Oh, 6.
So 33 doublers on the schedule that I've predicted is Arsenal, Brentford, Burnley, Leicester, Manchester United, Newcastle. It doesn't sound amazing, but to go back in terms of for free hitters, is there a gain there? Yes, I think there possibly is. Single game week fixtures on that schedule, interestingly, Tottenham would still have Brighton at home, would be quite interesting. Manchester City, I would have it penciled with Brighton at home. Liverpool, I'd have obviously penciled to go up against Manchester United. Chelsea would be single fixture at home to Arsenal, part of an Arsenal double. That would be a free hit for me. Mm-hmm. I think there's enough. You can look at it and go, they're shit doubles. I think that's even more reason to think, just free hitting it, because I don't really want those guys either side of it. Unless, of course, I'm building treble Burnley again, am I, from game week 32 if they play Everton in that week. So I've penciled in Watford versus Everton, game week 35. That would give Everton a double of Chelsea at home and Watford away.
Yep.
And for Watford, it would give them a double of Burnley at home and Everton at home.
So should we keep Dennis until then?
To be honest, when I first did the schedule, I actually did it with Watford, Everton being earlier, and then I re-looked at it and went, actually doesn't make sense when Burnley have got more games to rearrange than Everton. Can we just say, by the way, as we all know, the Premier League actually don't have a lot of common sense, so they will, chances are, piss this up the wall quite badly. Right, game week 36, doublers on my predicted schedule would be Arsenal, home to Leeds, away to Tottenham. Aston Villa, Burnley away, home to Liverpool. Burnley, Aston Villa at home, Southampton at home. That's the sort of one, as I said, I think really appeals
nice, cheap doublers, yeah.
To bench boosters, yeah. You know, your Connor Roberts, your stuff like that, even like Josh Brownhill, whatever, right, if they're available. It would also be double for Chelsea. Wolves at home, Leicester at home. Be a double for Leicester. Everton at home, Chelsea away. Liverpool double of Tottenham at home, Villa away. Man City double of Newcastle at home, West Ham away. Southampton, another possible interesting one maybe for the bench boosters, would be a double of Brentford away, Burnley away. Tottenham would be Liverpool away and Arsenal at home. I mean, from a Tottenham double perspective, you really want Tottenham Arsenal in 33 rather than 36. And West Ham would be Norwich away, City at home. I think there's enough there that I could say, yeah, I'm bench boosting. I mean, even like Jacob Ramsey with, say, Burnley away, Liverpool at home.
Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
If he's still in the team.
If it comes round, Norwich the first game, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. So I think that's been a real concern, was we looked at it at certain stages and it really didn't look like, in terms of really cheap enabler options for a bench boost in 36 would look good. And again, there's no guarantee that this schedule is going to pan out this way. But I think just looking at it now, yeah, there will be options for people to bench boost. I don't think, I've said previously that I think people will naturally land in a good place for a bench boost in game week 36. I'm becoming less convinced of that. Because if you compare the teams that I've said will double in 36 and 33, how many double in each, Suj?
33 and 36.
Yep.
So the Gooners.
Yep.
You've also got Burnley.
Yep.
Chelsea.
No, Chelsea wouldn't double in 33 if they make the cup semi.
If they make the cup semi, so that's a provisional that you've got against Chelsea.
No, so 33, semi-final, and then Arsenal single.
I
Yeah,
get it. Palace, obviously, if they make the semi, would only have a single. You've got Leicester.
Yep, so Leicester would be both.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
So on that projected schedule at the moment, double game weeks in 33 and 36 for Arsenal, Burnley and Leicester. That what you want to carry through. If you're not using chips around here to help get you out of it, I'm not sure that it is, really. Mm-hmm. So, look, as ever, it's play it your way. The one thing I definitely know now is it's free hit 33 for me. I will have a real think over the next couple of days and probably
free
today.
hit 33.
I think almost definitely, yeah. And then it's a case of me trying to work out whether I'll free hit still in the blank of 30, which I still think there's some advantages in. Again, I want to weigh out in terms of if the gain is there for me, and also factor into that decision how that's going to influence my game week 29 transfers. In game week 29, if I free hit in game week 30, I'm buying a Liverpool player. If I don't free hit in game week 30, I'm almost definitely not buying a Liverpool player in 29. So these influence my decisions. 37. As it stands, I'd have double 4 scheduled. Chelsea, which would mean back-to-back doubles for Chelsea. This is in the scenario of them losing an FA Cup semi-final specifically. Or if they did get to the final, you're looking at United Leeds probably going in there as a double for Chelsea, but it will be within close proximity. It would be a nightmare. But you are potentially looking at double Chelsea at the end of the season, 36, Wolves and Leicester at home, and Manchester United and Leeds away. You also have doubles in 37 listed for Leeds, Brighton at home, Chelsea away. Leicester would be really attractive at the end. Watford away, Norwich at home. Now again, that would potentially be double for Leicester of Everton, Chelsea in 36, Watford and Norwich in 37. Please don't hold your triple captaincy on Jamie Vardy on the off chance that this happens. Yeah. Just use it on Mo Salah in 29, kids. And that's it in terms of doublers. I have one blank in 37 on the schedule, which is West Ham United, on the basis of the Manchester City fixture being brought forward to 36. Complete blanks in 33, I have down 2, Leeds and Wolves. Thoughts?
Well, game week 30 is still highly likely to be a free hit for me with my low starting point. I like the looks of Jamie Vardy because they have no blanks, but they have quite a few doubles. So he's never a situation where you don't use him. So moving to Jamie Vardy soon is quite interesting. I still think Jose Sarr, for me right now, is interesting, or Wolves generally, because good double and covers me off in 30. And if I free hit in 33, it's not such an issue for me. But even then, Ben Foster's got a fixture in 33 and I'll bench Max Kilman. So it's not like I'm steaming into Wolves. I'm ignoring Leeds a little bit, not so fussed about going there.
Got good fixtures now, haven't they? And yeah, I'll tell you what,
wait and see what Jesse Marsh does.
will not rule out captain Rafinha this week. If I decide not to buy Rudiger, I think that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, I feel comfortable enough that it doesn't seem like there's a crazy scenario. And I also remember that unlike some listeners, I have chips, right? I have a lot of chips left. So free hit to cover me off 30, 33, wildcard 34. Then I just need to decide where am I steaming in for 35, 36, 37, 38. And I think that's a comfortable enough strategy for me.
I think to sum up people who are short on chips in terms of best available left, the best bench boost, in my opinion, is game week 36. For those who have set up to use it in this game week, do not be put off. I know there were a number of you who would hoped that Arsenal were going to have a double this week and are currently sitting there with Ramsdale, Tierney, Saka as part of your bench boost, wondering whether you should pull the trigger. I think it's okay. I think you've planned this way, you should do it. That if you've planned to bench boost this week, I still think you should do it. Watford have got the worst home record in the league. Arsenal, particularly those with defensive assets, are beginning to defend quite well. I think still go and do it. The very best bench boost, though, is 36. In my opinion, the very best triple captaincy left from this predicted schedule would be game week 29. And that's Mo Salah's double against Brighton and Arsenal. Now, in theory, the 36th double for triple captaincy looks a little bit better. Tottenham against Aston Villa. But do bear in mind that could very easily be Tottenham and Manchester United, for example. So I think, look, if you didn't go Mo last time, the opportunity's there again. Just trust him, get on with it, would be my opinion. Yes, Harry Kane could have Brighton and Arsenal in 33, but it's more likely, I think, to be 36 Liverpool and Arsenal, which you wouldn't go near. The Vardy double right at the end, or even a really alternative Leicester asset, could be really, really interesting. But I would go with Mo. In terms of people who've only got, say, one free hit left, It's circumstantial in terms of what you've got, but you need to assess the problem a little bit differently. So I'm looking for gain, right? So if I go 33 and 37 with free hit, I'm going aggressive, right? If I go 30, I'm being a bit more defensive, although I actually think there's an aggressive nature to free hitting in 30 in terms of maybe going like treble Leicester. Non-free hitters are definitely not going to have that. It's a case of, again, weighing up, do I think there's a big enough advantage? If I free hit, will I get more points? Yes, but will I get enough points to make it worth my while either side of that particular game week? I think for free hitters, you should consider covering the problem. 33, I think is one that looks a bit extravagant at the moment in terms of maybe going heavy on like Newcastle, Leicester, Manchester United, where people might not have a lot of coverage for that particular game week. So I think there's a gain on it. But there's other people be listening going, I don't give a shit about that, James. That looks rubbish. And then that's fine. So again, I think you could free hit 36 if you use bench boost, but you're still probably going to be losing out to bench boosters that week. So it's really circumstantial. For those who have got nothing left in terms of chips, I would personally forget game week 30 is even happening and make sure you have the best captaincy option that game week, which in terms of popularity is likely to be Harry Kane, I think. But I think Jamie Vardy is the best captaincy option in 30.
Yeah.
But Kane's ownership, because the double 29 as well, is going to really grow. So that's the one that you'll probably want to protect against most. Well, it's actually, I say Kane, obviously Heung-min Son as well. Their ownership will be massive going into 29 and 30. Even though it's West Ham, if you free hit 30, Suj, you're going without Kane or Son, even though it's against your team.
No, I'd have both.
You would, yeah.
100% I'd have both.
You would. And to be honest, I think you'd probably go Jared Bowen as well.
As well. Yeah, for sure. And Antonio likes a goal against you guys as well. I might even have him.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything on that.
Good old big thighs.
And wildcard is circumstantial. And there's a lot of people wildcarding now. My only honest advice to you is good luck. Where you go with it depends. So I think you could wildcard now and build up a group of kind of Wolves, Villa, Leeds assets, for example. Get a bit of Chelsea. You could free hit in 29. You can do it the other way round, where you're free hitting in 30. So you kind of build up now, ready to have Arsenal and Liverpool players perhaps for next week. But then if you're building up Arsenal and Tottenham, then it doesn't make sense to free hit in 30. There's loads of different ways to play it. I need everybody to know that this schedule that I've predicted, there isn't a chance in the world that it's 100% correct. Absolutely no chance. All we're trying to do is obviously lay out the probability of what's likely to obviously help with people's decisions.
If you need to look at it in visual format, then I do recommend, got to plug the old Patreon, James, heading over to patreon.com/planetfpl to join. Even if you do at the basic tier, you get access to our Slack channel. But if you join at the intermediate advanced, we do additional content as well each and every week. But in a visual format, when you listen to this pod, is really helpful just to be able to plot the gaps and see what it looks like. And what I always find is particularly important is looking at the fixtures before and after. If you're steaming into a player for a double, what does it look like before and after, and especially after? Because if it looks really bad after, what's your plan to kind of come off or are you happy to bench them or stick with them for a couple of games? Because sometimes you get a scenario where the double's good and the next couple of weeks are good, and it means you can figure it out after and you're happy to stick with it. So highly recommend that. Starting today's Patreon pod today, James, with a differential show, we'll predict the scores for the weekend and
now
maybe
I need to try and work out, because I'm genuinely
decide what we're going to do.
Honestly, I genuinely do not know what I'm doing with strategy yet. The big choice, like I said, is 30 or 37 free hit in my mind. But I don't know yet. I don't know. I haven't had time to look at my own team properly of what I'm doing.
Nice. I hope you did enjoy this pod. Do like and share it and do all of that stuff on Twitter, retweet it and whatever.
Can I give a few shout outs before we finish?
Depends who they are for.
We don't know till I say, do you?
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's not Brodger, the points dodger.
Armando Broja. Yeah, actually, that's a really good link. Me and Suj will be on Black Box next Wednesday.
Oh, yes, we will.
Really looking forward to that with Az. I mentioned...
He supports Brighton, though, so why is it a good link to Broja?
Because he said Broja was a shit asset.
Okay, fair play.
Despite talking him up previously. Az is a wind-up merchant. We love him. We're really looking forward to that
next
on
Wednesday. Yeah.
We're big fans of Az and Mark's work, so we're looking forward to that. Wednesday night, I'll be on the Black Box channel. Shout out to a few other brilliant strategists in terms of strategy, scheduling, and these are not the only people. But many of you will be aware of, obviously, Ben Krellin. He is the Twitter king in terms of the spreadsheet planning. Must follow. Lego Mane has some brilliant graphics and some brilliant ideas. He's worth following. One of the most underfollowed people within the community who has a great strategic mind is Tala Nadeem. Everybody should go and follow Tala.
Was he 2020 Sky winner in our fantasy?
He was,
2021,
He's
2020.
a very good fantasy manager as well. And possibly less known to the FPL players is Ian Parrin. Planet Sky, which is planet, but with an I instead of an E. And
so
Plan It Sky. Now, Ian is primarily a Sky fantasy football player, but I've learned massive things from Ian this year in terms of strategy by learning little things like Sky scheduling Brentford versus Everton on a Sunday show, so BT couldn't show Everton versus Liverpool on a Tuesday, which is like needle things that actually they really do to each other. In terms of specific day dates, Ian is phenomenal in terms of actually predicting what TV selection games and stuff are as well. So I massively give Ian a plug and a follow as well. Brilliant. And there's plenty more. I'm not the only person doing strategy, and it doesn't mean I'm right and others are wrong. We're all just trying to do our best to help people.
There we go. Do give those guys a follow and show them some love as well. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. I hope it goes well from a fantasy point of view, especially if you're going big on the double game week and using any chips.
No, I hope it goes badly, wildcarders, because I ain't one of them.
Look after yourselves, though, this weekend. It's a bit chilly and cold. And stay safe wherever you are. Ciao for now.
You know what the best bit about this weekend is?
There's no Friday deadline.
Well, Tottenham won't ruin it till Monday. Everyone, very best of luck as ever. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.